Hello and welcome to Baiju's Exam Prep IAS. Before we begin the daily quiz for today, a couple of important announcements with regards to the topics for Knowledge Series this weekend. As you know, Knowledge Series is an initiative where we discuss some of the most important topics live on the YouTube channel at 8 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday. This weekend on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have two classes on the preamble of the Indian Constitution, and we'll also be discussing about Article 370 and its relation with Article 35A. Do join in. These classes will be live at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel Saturday and Sunday. Don't miss it. Attend these classes and you can also ask all your doubts in between the classes. Now let's begin the daily quiz for today with question number 1 on your screen. Consider the following statements. Number 1. Project Elephant is a centrally sponsored scheme and was launched in February 1992 for the protection of elephants, their habitats, and corridors. Second, as per the Elephant Census 2017, Karnataka has the highest number of elephants, followed by Assam and Kerala. Third, the elephant herd is led by the oldest and the largest female member, also called the matriarch. Which of these given statements with regards to elephant and Project Elephant is or are correct? The correct answer here is D. All the three given statements with respect to the elephants in India are absolutely correct. The latest census that we have had is of 2017. In 2022, that is this year, the government did announce that we will be starting a new census to know about the updated population of the elephants in India, but the results have not come out. The results that we have is of the 2017 elephant census only. The reason why we are discussing this question is because this news has been covered in the Indian Express today. It is a World Elephant Day that was celebrated in Assam's Manas National Park on Friday. On this occasion, the Union Environment Ministry is saying that they will make a further push to curb unnatural elephant deaths by tracking the casualties along with the Railway Ministry. The Railway Ministry here is involved because, as you know, a lot of animal deaths actually occur due to train accidents and due to electrocution. That is why the government has announced that we will be ensuring that the Project Elephant is actually on track and we save as many elephant lives as possible. The article also tells you, as per the last count of 2017, India had 29,964 elephants. However, we do not have the latest survey data. Next, question number 2. Consider the following statement with respect to the Essential Commodities Act of 1955. Number 1. There is no specific definition of Essential Commodities Act in the Essential Commodities Act of 1955. Second, the Ministry of Rural Development implements the Act. Third, the Act gives powers to the central government to add or remove a commodity in the list of essential commodities. Which of these given statements is or are correct? As per the question, the correct answer would be C, 1 and 3. The second part is wrong because it is not the Rural Development Ministry. Instead, it is actually the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution that is responsible for the implementation of this act. It was passed in 1955 essentially to curb inflation since it allows the central government to enable control by the state governments of trade in a wide variety of commodities. There is no clear definition of what will be an essential commodity. There is a section called Section 2A in the Act. Whatever commodities are placed in Section 2A will be termed as essential commodities, and it is the central government that has the power to add or remove a commodity from this list. So the answer here would be C. The reason why we are discussing this question is because the central government is worried that the prices for tur dal, which you also call arhar, are actually increasing. So government is trying to put a curb on the price of the tur dal by keeping it in the essential commodities list, that is the section 2A of this act. Next, question number 3. As per the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries and such protected forests must have an eco-sensitive zone of a minimum dash from their boundaries. 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 1 kilometer or 20 kilometers. The correct answer here is C. 1 kilometer. This is a recent judgment of the Supreme Court, and the reason why we are asking this question is that the central government is planning to file a review petition on the eco-sensitive zones in the Supreme Court. As the article tells you, the section pertain to directive given by the Supreme Court to notify eco-sensitive zones to a minimum of 1 kilometer from the demarcated boundary of the protected areas. That is because these areas are extremely sensitive and the code does not want any activities to go on in these particular areas. The government of India, however, is not happy with it and they are seeking more clarification and a revision of this judgment. Next, question number 4. Consider the following statement with regards to JCPOA, that is, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Number 1. China was also a part of the JCPOA deal. Second, under the agreement, Iran also agreed to implement a protocol that would allow inspectors from the IAEA, that is, International Atomic Energy Agency. Third, after Donald Trump backed out of the deal, the other nations launched a barter system known as INSTEX to facilitate transactions with Iran outside the US banking system. Which of these given statements is or are correct? The correct answer to this question is D. All the three given statements are correct. As you know, JCPOA was the Iran nuclear deal signed between Iran and P5 plus 1. P5 includes the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, so it obviously includes China as well, and the one member extra is Germany. Second is also correct. Iran agreed that under this scheme, if the US relaxes the sanctions, Iran would allow inspections from International Atomic Energy Agency. Third statement is also right. Since Donald Trump backed out of the deal, the other nations that wanted to continue it facilitated an alternative system called the INSTAX so that Iran can at least deal with other nations. The reason why we are discussing this question is you would know that since there has been a change in president in the US, ever since Joe Biden has come to power, he had announced that he will be trying to revive the deal once again and bring America back into the JCPOA deal. Negotiations are ongoing for that even today. They are happening in Vienna. Now the news is Iran may accept the EU proposal to revive the nuclear deal. So the negotiations are going on for a long time in Vienna, where there are US officials, Iranian officials, and officials from the other European nations as well. We'll have to see how and in what form does the deal resume between the two sides. Next is the previous year question from 2009. Who of the following scientists proved that the stars with mass less than 1.44 times the mass of the sun ended up as white dwarfs when they die? Edwin Hubble, S. Chandrasekhar, Stephen Hawking, or Steven Weinberg? The correct answer here is S. Chandrasekhar. This, in fact, is the entire concept behind the Chandrasekhar limit. As you know, all the stars have a specific lifetime, and the stars also come to an end of their life, just like the sun would also do that. But how their life ends depends upon the mass of the star. If the mass of the star is 1.44 times the mass of the sun or lower, then they would end as a white dwarf. Otherwise, if the mass of the star was more than 1.44 times the mass of the sun, then they will end their life as a supernova, after which they will convert into a black hole. So it really depends on the mass of the star that how would their life actually end. This was given by Chandrasekhar, for which he even won the Nobel Prize. His Nobel Prize in Physics was given to him in 1983 for his work regarding the structure and the evolution of the stars. This is what we call as the Chandrasekhar limit. Do remember that. Next is the fact of the day, and today we'll be discussing about India's engagement with NATO. Now, it is covered in multiple newspapers today that the government of India has been in constant touch with NATO for a long time now. The talks between the two sides, specifically in the matters of security and defense, have been on for a long time now. NATO, as you know, stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is a premier military and political alliance of the developed nations, which includes the European nations and USA and Canada. It started in 1949, right after the Second World War. This was, in fact, America's first peacetime military alliance outside the Western Hemisphere. Now, NATO works on the concept of collective defense. Collective defense specifically is based on Article number 5 of the NATO Treaty. In simple terms, an attack on any one of the NATO members will be considered as an attack on all of them, and thus all of them will come to help the member that has been attacked. that is the entire concept of NATO. Now, India obviously is not a part of NATO, but the news is that India is in talks with NATO for a new kind of development, which is being discussed for a long time now. In fact, it's been close to a decade that many people say that the talks have been on. However, recently there has been a push to actually give a closer status to India with respect to NATO. There is a US politician called Ro Khanna, who is an Indian origin person, who said this year that India will be added as a sixth country to NATO Plus. NATO Plus means those organizations with which NATO has a close relations. As you would know, India does not have any military treaty with any organization around the world. So it's not that India is a part of NATO or any of these organizations where we have been given any security guarantee. However, this is extremely significant because this marks India's strategic move towards the US away from a long standing position of non alliance at a time when India is facing pressure from both of our borders. Now, the next steps in this directions are not very clear because no one knows what exactly will be the form of the treaty. However, there have been constant discussions on the both sides with meetings at the highest level being held by political and defense secretaries. So it remains to be seen how this new alliance actually comes up. This is it for today's daily quiz video. Thank you so much for watching.